Hello and welcome to another episode of It Came From the Page. And I said page, all spooky like, because it's fall. And with fall comes a tag? What? Yes, I have not done a tag in forever. It's been so long. The dinosaurs remember when I last did my tag. I actually think it wasn't that long ago. I think it was in August, but whatever. It is fall finally, and we're getting the leaves changing here. It's going beautiful, so I was like, I should do a tag. And I especially was like, I gotta do this tag, because I was tagged by Paige's Open Book. And I'll have her in the description. Follow her. She's a magnificent. We do not read any of the same books, like even remotely, and I love to hear her talk about them. So they are quite amazing, and you should definitely check her out. And she tagged me in this, and I was like, hell yeah, fall yeah, I'm gonna do a tag video. It's been so long. So let's get through and start on the questions. Question 1. In fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. And for this, I think literally you put the words fall and setting in a sentence. I'm going to have to say Autumn Crow by Cameron Chaney. Cameron Chaney, throughout these short stories, develops such a great atmosphere and a great sense of time and place. And it's really memorable. This is a book that I read a few years ago, and it still sticks with me. It's still something I think about. I can still kind of manufacture the visions in my head of what Autumn Crow as a town looks like. And I'm super excited to get to his new book, Autumn Crow Fresh Hell. Autumn Crow High, Fresh Hell. I'm super excited for that one. And that's actually going to be my next read, but just because, fall and settings, there's nothing better than Autumn Crow for painting a time and a place. And it's like, there are some like really emotional stories, there's some spooky stories, and there's just some like relax and chill stories. There's a lot of different variety in this one short story collection, and it all is painted vividly. So yeah, Autumn Crow by Cameron Chaney. Number 2, nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic, like loss or grief. So this is a book that, it's so funny, so let's just get into this. This is Betrayer by Dembski-Bowden. This is a Warhammer book. Now, that is something that you would probably not associate with having a really well-written story attached to it. And that's because most people who talk about Warhammer 40k only talk about the more ridiculous stuff. And Dembski-Bowden is such an amazing writer at getting the characters and the humanity out of these inhuman, awful people and writing them in such a compelling, interesting way. And I really wish he had like some type of self-published work that I could be like, hey, you should go read this, and then if you like it, go to the Warhammer stuff. But Dembski-Bowden has only written Warhammer books, as far as I'm aware of, and they're great. They're some of the best Warhammer books written. But it's a hurdle. It's a hurdle. You're gonna have to get over the hurdle, in that it's a Warhammer book. But there's a specific scene in Betrayer when there are these two inhuman demigods who are having this discussion about their belief systems and their upbringings and why they do what they do, and like kind of like formulates their visions of the world through their lenses. And it's like beautifully written, and it's like, I remember I was listening to this audiobook, and I was at a bar. Now, I was one of these things, like, I'd go to a bar maybe, like, twice a year. And I was like, you know what? I should go to a bar. That'd be nice. And then I'm at a bar for, like, 5 seconds, and I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to an audiobook. Anyway, so I'm in this room, I'm in this bar, and I'm just, like, listening to this, like, beautifully written book, and I'm just like, I'm about to, like, start crying in this bar. Like, this is, like, really, really good. And then I'm like, I am being, like, emotionally moved by a Warhammer book. No one is gonna believe me or trust my opinions in anything ever again. But hey, it's the truth. No regrets. Dembski-Bowden writes beautiful stories about terrible people. And there's nothing that I think is like more endemic of the like the nature is beautiful but also dying than the writing of Darren Dembski-Bowden. And it's like this doesn't redeem these characters. It just paints the way they see the world in a really compelling and interesting way. And yeah, I absolutely love his writing. And I think Betrayer is like the one that has my favorite scenes in it between these characters. And it brings out the humanity in the inhuman. Number 3. Fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. I don't know why I did that in such an upbeat way, because I'm going to talk about some depressing nonfiction history book. I think that the book Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by D. Brown is something that should be taught in every school in history class. This is the story of how America and Canada and all of these colonized places come to be from the perspective of the indigenous peoples who went through all of this. And there is this myth of the Old West that it's like, we conquered, we came, we saw manifest destiny. And it's complete bullshit because it's all these like really shady, shitty back end deals. And it's like these land deals and these displacing people and like just slowly, year by year, kicking people off land that they were promised. And there's all of these really interesting scenarios where, because of how the United States presidents constantly flip, different people who have different belief sets instantly kind of like replace people who have already set things in place, and communities think that they were safe, and then all of a sudden a new person comes in and completely changes everything and completely displaces them. And it's so depressing, but it's really important to read and learn the true history of the lands that most people who are watching live on. And it's just you gotta do the research. It's depressing, it's not fun, but it's also not anything that is like isolated to then. There is all kinds of colonial powers still oppressing indigenous groups around the world, and especially in North America, but even other locations as well. And it's something where you really need to learn the history and do the research and not just look at the sanitized versions that get taught in most history classrooms. So an extremely important book. You're not going to be happy after reading it. It's going to make you feel shitty, but it's history. It's the truth. Sometimes you got to hear it, no matter how hard it is. Number 4, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with people we love. Name a fictional family / household / friend group that you'd like to be a part of. Now for this, my dream reality is to exist in a cozy cat mystery world. I would love to have like a not stressful but easy-ish to run fantasy version of a restaurant, and then also have a big fat cat and then have to look after the big fat cat as we solve mysteries. And we go, oh, old man Jenkins got murdered, we gotta solve it. And I'm like, yeah, of course, old man Jenkins is dead, but he was about to kick the bucket anyway, so it's for fun. Now we get to solve a mystery. And of course, I really want to be part of the family that's in my specific currently favorite Cozy Cat Mysteries, which is 6 Feet Deep Dish by Mindy Quigley, which is a group of, these really cozy mystery novels that take place like in a place near Chicago, and it's like, oh, it sounds so lovely and beautiful, and there's a nice little kitty, and you can solve mysteries. That's how I want to live. That's how I want to live. It would be beautiful. It would be beautiful. Or I would love to work at I would love to exist in a fantasy world that I could go to Legends and Lattes. Because I just want to drink orc coffee. I think the orcs would be great at coffee. You ever seen an orc? They know how coffee works, I can tell. That'd be weird if you had seen an orc. Now that I say that, I'm like, ever seen an orc? And like, what are you gonna be like? Yeah. I'd be like, where? They're not real, right? Number 5. The colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. Time for me to show you my spines. Beamity, beamity, beam. I never do these. Like, even on Instagram where people are like, show me a candy cane spine, or show me a fall-colored spine. I normally don't do it, but you know what? I did today. And it was kind of fun. I think it looks cool. I'm actually going to take a picture of this and post it on the Instagrams. Look at me, pre-planning my gramming. So we got Ball by Robbie R. McKeamy. We have Blackstone Fortress, black. It's a Warhammer anthology. I haven't read any of them. They might be shit. I don't know. The Godzilla novelization that just came out. Yeah, baby. Dark Forces, which is a short story collection, and is actually where Stephen King's The Mist first appeared, which is wild when you think about it. And then there's a little book called Halloween Recipes and Crafts. So cute. Northern Frights, which is a short story collection featuring Canadian authors. And then Stephen King's short story collection Just After Sunset. She sells seashores by the sunset. Anyways, so those are good. And if you're on Instagram, you're probably like, oh, I've already seen it. I'm like, well, too bad. I'm not going to make the file and only make it into a video, okay? It's going on the Instas. I'll probably put Loomis beside it, though. You know? Then it's like, wow, it's super fall. Loomis will probably eat it. Never mind. We'll see. You'll see it if it happens. Next one is, fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein someone is telling a story. Now, there is a very specific point of the book that I'm going to be talking about where a story is being relayed that is like super fascinating and interesting, and I love it. And that is Nelf by Sidney Williams. Nelf time. It's Nelf time. Nelfing it up. Nelfs is a work of fiction that has been a source of delight this entire year, thanks to the wonderful, the amazing, the fall-tacular Kelsey from Slime and Slashers. She brought the Nelfs love to this corner of BookTube, and everyone's just Nelfing it up. But in this book, there's this character called Danube, and Danube has a really cool way of speaking in the audiobook. Anyways, he's talking to a lady who is like a long lost relative of his, and like relating his story and his backstory and his history and why he is such a pivotal figure in the war against evil. And it's like so good and so extravagant, and I loved it. And it was like really compelling. And it's so funny because like I'm not a religious person like at all. Like I don't care. But this is cool because it's like from a perspective of one of the villains of the Bible, which like could be so many people. That book hates a lot of people, but regardless, it's one of the big ones, the famous villain, not Satan, the second. Whatever, you know what I'm saying. It's cool. It's a really well told. It's a really compelling story, and I love Danube. He's a great character. So, mwah. 7. The nights are getting darker. Shed a dark, creepy read. I just read this, but I gotta go with the Cipher by Kathy Koja. That is such a weird book, and it just gets in your head, and it's just like a poison in your brain as you're reading it. But you're like, keep poisoning my brain. I love this. This is weird and wild. And if you don't know what the Cipher is, some people, they go and they find a hole. And there's like a storage room in their apartment, and there's just a hole. Just a big old black void. They find it, and then they're like mesmerized by it, and then a cult starts forming around it. People throw some bugs in it, the bugs come out all weird and weirder, and like things go crazy. And it's like really, there's like the idea of a cult of personality, whereas this is actually like the cult of the void, in that like all of these characters are terrible. Our main character really has nothing to him, and he strives to be a nothing. Like he doesn't want anything in life. He wants to be the black hole, that dark void in society that he can just continue existing, but only that. He only wants to exist. He doesn't want to do anything else, just exist. And it's like a cult that forms around his connection with this black void. And it really is just all about the indescribable pull into oblivion. Maybe. Or maybe it's just a weird book about holes. Oh, I don't know. I didn't write it. That's just my interpretation of it, okay? Whatevs. It's good. 8. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up someone's cold and rainy day. For this one, I'm going to pick Strays, A Lost Cat, A Homeless Man, and Their Journey Across America by Britt Collins. I read this earlier this year. I actually read this on audio. It was like a super quick audiobook. It was only like 6 hours or so. Oh, my heart. This is like a really touching story. And it's also, I think what's important about it is like, there's like this homeless man who like finds this lost cat, and it's a nonfiction story. It's a true life story, and it's just him going on adventures with this cat, looking after this cat, feeding this cat, and them becoming like a united pair, and then eventually returning the cat to his owner. And it is really, oh man, it pulls on the heartstrings. And I think what makes this more than just a feel-good story and a feel-good book is that like the cat doesn't solve all the homeless man's problems. It's just a source of enjoyment from his life. And there's from this connection, and it's just they go on all these adventures and they do stuff, and it's like a anchoring to his life and a source of joy. But it's not like the cat just suddenly goes, and now he's not homeless anymore. It's like, no, even by the end of the story, and even when the cat is reunited with its original owner, he is still somebody who is on the streets and goes through periods of being a little bit more like sober and with it, and then periods of falling back into those vices. And it's just a story about a connection and a way that, even in our darkest moments, we can still find a little light, and we can still connect with the people around us. A pet is not gonna literally solve all of our problems. It's just a cat or a dog or whatever, but it can still give you joy in times of darkness. I don't. What am I doing today? I'm like, I'm at a school play. I don't know. This is a weird day. I'm recording this super early in the morning. And then the last one, which is Fall. Returns every year. Yeah, bitches. Sometimes fall never leaves in my soul. There's that meme online where it's like that little girl who's like, it's always Halloween in my soul. I think she does not sound like that at all. I think she's more like, it's always Halloween in my soul. Actually, no. I don't think she sounds like that either. It's one of the two. Or maybe it's a mix of both. Whatevs. But it is name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. So this one is another short story collection. That's the theme of this video, I guess. I'm showing a bunch of them. Woo! Is Night Shift by Stephen King. Now, this is one of the very first Stephen King stories I ever read. It's probably gone about 6-7 years since I read this book. It had a big impact when I first read it. I'm a little bit more well-read now, and I'm also a little bit less forgiving of some of King's worst tropes and worse pitfalls that he comes into and falls into. So I don't know if I will love this as much as I did originally, but Night Shift is his first short story collection, is by far the meanest, and most people consider it his best. I remember loving this and really, really finding it impactful. We will see. I hope I like it. I do own about 3 copies of it in different editions. I don't know why. Why do I do these things? But yeah, I hope I like it. I hope I still like it. But if I don't like it, well, I don't know. At least I can go back and read the next Twilight book. Because I was like, oh yeah, I remember reading Twilight, and then I was like, oh yeah, I liked it. So now I could go back and read New Moon. If I hate Night Shift by Stephen King, I'll just go back to New Moon. This is me on Bella, but it's me and New Moon. It's like, oh, New Moon. I cannot wait for that chapter that just is a bunch of months of the year. Anyways, that's for your Twilight heads out there. The two of you watching this video? Whatever. So, the last one is to tag some peeps. Oh, wait. Haha, I lied. I had to scroll down on my thing. There's another thing here. Whoopsie-daisy. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. Cat, another cat, another cat, another cat, the fifth cat, who's only here temporarily, and the sixth cat that's only here temporarily. It's mostly cats. Number 11, spread the autumn appreciation and tag some people. I feel like most people, like most of the peeps that I normally talk to, and they just don't do tags. You know what? One, I want to do this because I think it's funny. I think Joshua from Coffee Cats and King should do a tag. I mean, if Paige is doing it, come on, Joshua, do a tag as well. Come on. I don't think he's ever done a tag. He's probably watching like, miss, I would never. I remember when I was first going on BookTube, I was like trying to come up with a name, and I was like, oh yeah, I like coffee, I like cats, and it was like, oh yeah, I read some Stephen King or whatever, and then like I find out it's like, oh, Joshua's already got Coffee Cats and King, and then I watch a video, it's like, oh damn, this guy's like 10 times hotter than me too. Okay, whatevs. And then before I abandoned YouTube altogether, I just came up with something from an old podcast I did. Next up, that's an anecdote for no one. The next one is, you know what? I'm Kelsey from Simon Slashers. You're tagged. I don't know. I don't think you do tags much anymore, but whatevs. And then Amy from Amy Noel Reads, someone who I also don't think I've ever seen do a tag. None of you have to do it, but I just felt like tagging some people today. Anyways, have a day, and I hope it's full of cats. Goodbye.